Hey, and welcome to Dr. G Speaks. I am Dr. Kristen Guillory, and I am so very excited to help you experience a life of freedom, faith, and fun you may not even realize is possible. Listen, I know you feel held back, I know you feel stuck, and I know you are hiding. As a coach and the author of Look, Stop Hiding, How to Find Your Voice and Never Dim Your Light Again, you will get to listen to some amazing stories, receive some homework, that's the professor in me, and get some tools to help you live the life you deserve. It's time to quiet the noise and walk in the fullness of who God created you to be. It's time to stop hiding and start thriving. Together, we'll uncover your potential and ignite your journey to a fulfilling life, a life of freedom. Over the last week or so, I received 2 text messages with similar messages that were actually affirming for me. The first said, "Hey, I'm at a speaker showcase as a networking opportunity with a friend of mine. I'm growing to see how much speakers need your expertise." I messaged them back and said, "Well, thank you so much. What do you mean?" And they left me a voice note and said it was 10 different speakers. And from her perspective, she said, there was no interaction. There seemed to be no heart connection. There really seemed to be no preparation. And this is someone who's gone through some of my speaker programs and was just like, wow, after seeing them, I fully believe in myself because it didn't seem that they were intentional with their messages or put any work. I got a text just yesterday from a friend of mine, and she said, "God bless you for what you do, friend. The organization where I work had a big fundraiser today, and the speaker was trash. People really traveling the country speaking at these huge functions and can't speak. I appreciate you training speakers out here in these speaker streets. I thank the Lord for your ministry." And this friend of mine is someone who has been speaking herself for many, many years. And these 2 messages reflect one of the reasons I do what I do as a speaker coach. Because speaking is something that most people do on a daily basis. Unintentionally, folks get on stage not thinking they have to prepare. People get on stage very frivolous, and to me, get on stage disrespectfully because they've not put in really any work. It's one thing to know what it is you do and to have a story and to go through something. It's another to convey that on stage. I'm not knocking anybody who's doing it on stage in this way because maybe they don't know that they don't know. Maybe they don't know that they don't know. So in December of 2017, when the Lord dropped in my spirit to be a speaker coach, I questioned it. I never desired to do a speaker coach, but I had so many people, hundreds, if not thousands of people telling me how impactful I was, how inspirational I was, how much they enjoyed me as a speaker. I just didn't know that what I was doing in the world of speaking was so rare. I remember at one of my speaker boot camps, a table stopped me and they said, "Dr. Guillory, you have just messed us up. You've demolished everything we thought a speaker was supposed to be." I said, "What are y'all talking about?" They said, "You came here and you were transparent. You told us mistakes you made. You are real. You're dancing. Like we've not seen that. We're used to everybody trying to be as polished as possible." And I was like, "Nah, son, this is me." So after being a speaker coach for 6 years and things going really well, I began to think and began to pray about how I wanted to expand this, how I knew that I couldn't be the only speaker coach. And I'm not the only one. There are other amazing speaker coaches out there. For me, my desire when I coach people is number one, for them to walk in the fullness and freedom of who they are on stage. Also, my desire for everybody I coach is for them to make impact and income. And knowing that I wasn't going to be able to do this for everyone, I am so excited that I am launching something that I've been thinking about for a couple of years. And I'm excited. I've worked with attorneys, I've worked with all the things to get it ready to go. And I am launching the Dr. Kristen Guillory Signature Coaching Certification Program. Yes, it seems I am one of the few Black women in the world to have a speaker coaching certification program and framework named after her that I have created. This framework has been used to coach over 1,000 speakers. I have used it in so many ways, but more than the number of people, the number of success stories. And so, because I can't coach everyone, I am honored to coach future speaker coaches who desire to help other amazing voices get their voices out there in an authentic way, in a beautiful way. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to launch this and do this. And if you are interested in more information, feel free to visit my website, KristenGuillory.com. And I want to give you what I consider to be my top 5 tips around being a public speaker, around speaking in any capacity, whether you are a keynote speaker, a workshop speaker, you are leading a training, you're leading a meeting at your job, you are leading a small group, a Bible study, whatever it is. I want to offer 5 tips that will help you in these speaker streets, as I like to call it. Okay. Because for me, anytime I have the opportunity to get on stage, whether a virtual stage, whether I am in person, it is an honor. It is a privilege. Something else that I know and recognize is while I'm on stage sharing information, inspiration, so much more, every single person in that audience could share something that could inspire and educate and challenge me. I know that. I know that. One of the reasons, I'm giving y'all some behind the scenes on how I coach and how I speak. One of the reasons I speak the way I speak, and even before the speaking engagement and after, is because I've been in audiences where I thought that speaker on stage is really pompous. They really are posturing themselves to be better than this room. I remember also seeing speakers, as soon as they're done, they leave. Now, granted, has that been the case for me at some points? Yes. But I remember thinking, I don't want to be that. I want to speak and share, and if possible, I want to be able to stay afterwards when I can. I have been a professional speaker, trainer, and more for almost 20 years. I have spoken over 1,700 times to close to 1 million people. And it is an honor, whether it is 10 people in the audience or 10,000, it is always an honor. I remember being one of the 3 main speakers at a really big conference years ago, and they set up tables to sell our products and more. I had books and things to sell. After my talk, I had a security guard with me who was very mindful. And here's what she said to me. She said, "Now listen, you were amazing. Everybody's going to come up to you and want to talk to you, but you got to stay with me. I'm going to walk you to the green room." So we go to the green room and I'm bored, y'all. Like, I'm bored. I don't want to sit in this fancy room by myself. So I go out to the lobby to my table, and the 5 volunteers who were in charge of my table, they said, "Oh, wait, are you going to be out here?" I said, "Yes." "What do you mean?" "Oh my gosh, speakers never come out here. They never come to their tables. Oh my gosh, everybody's going to be so excited to see you." And I remember thinking, I just don't want to sit in the green room. I'd like to be out here to say hello. And I'm not saying that I'm able to do that every time, but for me, it was, I want to almost in a way be real and continue to be human with a team, with people who make sure that they're guarding me and protecting me and making sure, all that good stuff. So I want to give you the 5 things. The first is, and this is a number one no for me. If you have ever worked with me in any capacity where you were getting speaker coaching from me in any way, you've heard this and you know this. You know, my number one is, do not ever wing it. Do not ever wing it. Do not ever get on that stage and you are not prepared and you haven't rehearsed anything. Because to me, winging it is disrespectful to the gift, to the audience, and to the event. I don't care if it is a topic you have led 100 times, you always need to prepare in some way. Not winging it allows you to be present with the audience. I can tell if a speaker is winging it within 60 seconds of the talk. I can tell. I can tell if they're winging it. When you are prepared, it doesn't mean you are going to share every word that you've prepared. It means that you are prepared to be present. You are prepared to share this beautiful message, and you're prepared to shift with the audience if needed. There have been times that I was sharing, it got to a particular point, and I could tell that we needed to stay with that point a little bit longer. If I was winging it, I would not have been able to discern that. I would not have been able to feel the audience shift in that moment. It is so important not to wing it. It's so important not to wing it. A reason, and it takes me to my second tip, is less is more. Very often, I have witnessed speakers get on stage and they try to share way too much stuff for the time. They try to share, here are 10 tips on how to do this in a 5-minute talk. It's too much. Less is more. If you are giving a talk that is less than 15 minutes, give us one tip, give us one takeaway, or give us 3 tips at most. Less is more. You cannot share every single story that has occurred in your life. You just can't. You've got to pick the 1 or 2 stories that you're going to address. Less is more. If you are leading a workshop and you have 60 minutes of content and it's a 60-minute workshop, that's too much. You really just need 35 to 40 minutes of content, because if you're leading a workshop, people need to be able to work. There will be questions. I cannot tell you the number of times I've attended a workshop. I actually attended one in the last couple of weeks, and the person talked the entire time. It was like a lecture. Yes, there was a space for questions maybe once, but they spoke the entire time with no pause, with no opportunity to give the audience a chance to work. Y'all, that's a big deal. When you're leading a workshop, give people time to work, even if it's 5 minutes, even if you pause and say, now I want to give you 5 minutes to jot down the 3 things that resonated with you from today and how you're going to keep it going after today. Or I want to pause and have you think about, if you had an extra $5,000, what would you do with that money? Workshop, hence work. So no winging it. Do not ever wing it. I've also heard people say, I can just get on stage and anything can come out and it'll be good. Maybe, but what if it could be better? What if it could be excellent? Again, I have spoken over 1,700 times. I always prepare. Now, maybe my preparation might be 10 minutes. It might be 20 minutes. It might be 2 hours, but I always prepare. You must always prepare. A vocalist is not going to get on stage without warming up. An athlete is not going to take the field or the court without warming up. You must prepare. You must not wing it. And remember, less is more. The third thing I want to give you is make sure that everything in your talk, your training, your keynote, make sure everything connects. Every single thing. I should be able to trace a string from your opening to your closing, and everything connects. It should not be like 3 mini talks together. It should be a seamless talk from your opening. Your opening should be intentional. Your opening should be powerful. Your closing should be intentional and it should be powerful. The story you share should be intentional and powerful. The tips you share should be intentional and powerful. Everything should connect. The fourth tip I want to give you is, do not adopt the speaker persona, AKA I call code switching. Do not get on that stage and turn into somebody that you are not. And I've seen it. I've even done it in the past, where offline you're talking to a friend backstage. Hey girl, how you doing? Hope to see you afterward. Then you get on stage. Well, good morning, everyone. How are you today? And listen, if that is authentically how you speak, do your darn thistle. But if it's not, be who you are. Y'all, I have probably played merengue and taught merengue over 500 times as a keynote speaker and as a workshop presenter and trainer. I come into music that is authentically me. I may come into a song that says, you will never find another lady quite like me, quite like me. Or I may come into, she can walk that walk. Or I may come into, get it ready, get it ready, get it ready, hey, because it's authentically me. I can't be anybody else but me. And here's the thing, when I tried to be somebody I was not, it just didn't work. There was one time when I had a movement called Cozy Convos, and it was a space for women to just be and have fun and pray together and more. I remember I was leading one of my talks and I tried to lead it in a kind of traditional pastoral way, meaning, okay, and the topic for the day is this, let's pray. And I did that. That is not me. That was authentically not me, but I tried to adopt it like, okay, I'm leading this faith-based initiative. I guess I should lead it like what I've seen. That was not me. Whenever I'm on stage and there's a podium, I don't like podiums. I tell my speakers not to use podiums. That's another tip. That's a bonus tip. Get away from the podium unless you are sharing at a memorial service or funeral, because that's different. And unless it is maybe a commencement speech and you're reading from it. But even in that, you could step away, but get away from the podium. The podium blocks you. Just get away from the podium. I spoke at an event at NASA probably 7 years ago, and there was a podium on stage. I was a keynote speaker, and I thought, well, I'm at NASA. I don't want to move anything around, but then I thought, I want to be authentically me. And then I thought, it doesn't hurt to ask. And I said, hey, when it's my turn, can we move that podium? They said, absolutely, Dr. Guillory. What else do you need? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, well, maybe we're going to play some music. But y'all, be authentically you, whatever that means. I've had people say, Dr. G, I'm not a music or dance person. You don't have to be. Be authentically you. No code switching. So my first 4, no winging it, less is more. Make sure everything connects. A bonus one, get away from the podium. I then said no code switching, no speaker persona. And the final encouragement is make sure you pray before and after, and invite people to pray for you during. You want to make sure that you are praying, that you are sharing the words that you are supposed to say, that you pray for the audience to have hearts open to receive whatever it is they can receive from you, because everyone's going to receive something different. No one ever gets the same thing when I share, but make sure you pray. If you are nervous, being nervous is okay, because being nervous is an indication that what you're doing is important to you. Make sure you pray. Make sure you pray. I am so honored to have been speaking for over 20 years, professionally almost 20 years, but I've been speaking for over 20 years in different capacities. I'm very excited and honored by every person. If you are someone and you've allowed me to support you in these speaker streets, thank you so much. If you are someone and you are going to allow me to support you in these speaker streets, thank you so much. I am honored to coach these amazing people who will be amazing speaker coaches to help these voices get on these stages, help them walk in freedom to help the audience and help them solve whatever problem that they are attempting to solve. I'm excited to be hosting different opportunities this year, from my Speak, Serve, and Get Paid 5-day challenge that'll be coming up soon, to my 7-week experience called Refresh, to I may be bringing back my signature group coaching speaking experience called Next Level in the fall. Stay tuned for that. I am honored. I'm honored. I'm honored. And if you are someone and you've been speaking for a while, there are always opportunities for growth for all of us. If you are a newer speaker, I encourage you to take these tips that I just gave you, be intentional with your content, and get on that stage and bless the people with your gift. And please know that you can command a room by being exactly who you are. Nobody else, not a version of somebody you've seen, not a version of who you think you're supposed to be, but exactly who you are. And that connects to no code switching, and that connects to not adopting the speaker persona. Your affirmation for the week: I can command a room by being exactly who I am. I can command a room by being exactly who I am. Thank you so much for listening to the Dr. G Speaks podcast. Resources can be found at KristenGuillory.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.